Hello friends, welcome back. Season 15 War 2 is upon us. We're taking on Alpha Empire Awakened. Haven't fought these guys in probably 3 seasons, I think it was. Anyway, we're taking in the trusty trio again this week, or this war rather. Void, Warlock, and Namor. Now I have no fights in Tier 1. There was a Void on my normal path, so we decided to mix it up and let my alliance mate, who has an R5 Elsa Bloodstone, take it. And he just absolutely slaughtered it with Void. So saved ourselves a potential death, and as my payment for letting him take that, I'm taking this Thing Mini on the right side here with Aggression Armor. Now we're still stuck in Tier 4, so there's no explosive armor, or explosive personality rather, so I can safely hit into his block if I need to. My strategy here, since Thing is stunnable, is to build up 13 rock stacks and then launch a special to take him to 15. As a reminder, both of Void's special attacks have 2 hit events, so you can't take Thing above 13 rock stacks when you want to use a special with Void. Other than that, Thing has protection and a couple other nodes that are designed to limit the damage you do, just as Aggression Armor does. However, Void's degen is direct damage, so it really ignores all of the resistances and armors and various other nodes that Thing has. So you can see his health is dipping down pretty quickly here. Other than that, pretty standard fight. He really does cooperate as far as, he doesn't throw his specials early, which kind of messes up the flow of the fight for me when he does that. So, for this fight, just keep one eye on the rock stacks. Gets a little hairy when there's so many icons on the right-hand side there under Thing. Other than that, when he has 15, sometimes I'll play around with hitting into his block. If I feel like I'm getting pushed back onto the left corner, this fight I didn't have to do that. I don't like to do that only because sometimes there's a chance that he releases his block, then you hit into him unintentionally, then he goes unstoppable, and then you're kind of screwed. So, didn't happen here. And he goes down without really any trouble. So we're moving up to Tier 2 here. You can see I only lightly boosted for that fight, and that was really just as a an assurance or insurance that I didn't time out. All right, so we got a Sinister here on Indomitable and Masochism. Our opponents here are running Siphon, so I have to be a little bit more conscious about the block damage. Now this is only an R1 Mr. Sinister. But even still, a few combos into your block is going to do a lot of damage. So just want to try and intercept where you can, where it makes sense. Hit into his block to give him a little bit more power. A little tough to do with Warlock because whenever he heals, he's going to be power draining. So it's a little bit more difficult to kind of cycle specials like I would with any other champ. But that's kind of necessary to play this fight against Sinister. Otherwise, his healing will be out of control, and you probably won't win the fight. So you can see that just from a couple blocks that I've taken almost 10% of my health down. But we get Sinister down with full AB, so can't complain about that. All right, next up we have another Brie Larson on Recovery and Buffet. So we're going to take this fight again with Warlock. So again, the goal here is to basically, she's going to get one special off, and then from there, people are running willpower, and you can tell almost immediately because I run Resonate, so you see that weakness debuff pop up there. So once I get the infection up, she's going to be pretty much constantly power draining because I'm going to have a debuff on her almost at all times. Either it's a weakness debuff or it's going to be a bleed debuff because I'm just going to keep heavying her and nuke her down that way. So pretty much identical fight to the previous war where we also had the same champ on the same node here. And then whenever we get to our S2, launch it for some armor breaks, which provide additional regen from willpower on her and some additional, faster power drain. You can see her power is draining really quickly, which makes it very easy to basically just parry heavy. And the parrying is giving four charges toward another infection, so it's really easy to kind of sustain this gameplay against really any opponent in war. Because there are very few opponents that are immune to weakness. I don't know that there's any. So if they're not a robot, they're going to be healing via willpower, more likely than not, and then you can just keep them power drained. Speaking of power draining, we have a Havok next on Buffet, and some other nodes that don't really matter to Havok. Now, normally I wouldn't probably have healed up here, but I actually had potions in my stash expiring, so I figured I might as well just heal up to max and use them, or use one rather. This is a standard fight against Havok as far as they go with Warlock. Maybe a little bit of a danger that he could detonate me when I don't have the armor up buff up, because it's being constantly stolen from me via the Buffet node. However, I'm trying not to, if it sounds weird, I'm trying not to parry him so much. I want him to hit into my block with his initial medium. Since it's a non-contact attack, it will power drain him, which will force him to lose his plasma charges. So that's kind of another way you can, fight a Havok with Warlock. So, this also works on there's a couple there's a couple Havocs on like crumbling armor, where if you don't hit him fast enough, your armor at buff is not going to save you from detonation. But as long as you're kind of taking those blocked hits, you'll be alright versus Havok, and you'll get full AB just like I did here. Alrighty, moving right along. So we have a Sabretooth. This is the next morning, so this morning actually. This is an R5 Max Sig Sabretooth debuff immune. Very few options exist to get this fight done. Warlock is one, Mysterio is one. If you have some sort of massive, damage champs, maybe Namor could do this fight. So I'm boosting way more than I needed to here. I forgot that Sabretooth is actually not marked as a villain. He's marked as a mercenary. So I was expecting to kind of go into this fight, and since he's debuff immune, I'm going to have to take a lot of blocked hits, which is going to result in a lot of chip damage. And I kind of wanted to avoid that. You can also see I topped myself up there with an L3 potion. However, once I got into this fight and took my first 2 blocked hits and barely took any damage, I immediately realized that I probably, not wasted, but I overboosted for sure. This node also has Special Lock 1, so I won't be able to get to my SP2, which is okay because since he's debuff immune anyways, the armor breaks wouldn't have provided any additional damage. So as long as we keep up those infections, though, this fight is really easy. You saw I also put on a combat regen boost. I was full up on those. I think I might have had one expiring in my stash. And again, I was trying to go through every precaution to avoid massive amounts of chip damage here. I was pretty sure that this was going to be the last fight that I would need Warlock for, so it was really just about survivability. So, and he went down way easier than I thought. I'll say no. I guess being over-prepared is better than being under-prepared. Alright, now we have a Electro on Counter Tactics and Breakthrough. So Electro is marked as a villain, so I will be taking block damage here. You can see he's hitting in my block, and it's pretty intense. So I still have the combat regen boost up, so that's kind of giving me, I think it's 15 or 20 seconds of regen here at the start of the fight. I'm also not really playing around with doing full combos, so you'll notice here, as soon as I take him over a bar of power, I'm immediately backing off. I don't care if it's 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits, because in war the AI is very aggressive, and if you finish a 5-hit combo, especially the closer you are to the wall, if you finish with a medium or even a 4th light, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to back off in time. If he throws his special immediately as you're dashing back, your dash back is not long enough, and he's going to tag you at the end of it. So, got to be really careful about that, especially since with the node, if he hits you once after you're stunned from the SP1, you're probably going to die. But so we killed him with that SP3. Ended up not being that big of a deal. All right, last fight of the war for me is another Sinister on Recovery and Strike Back. So we're going to opt for Void here, specifically, again, because of the Strike Back node. We want to be able to control his power gain as well as his regen. A little bit more difficult to get the heal block / actually, I don't think you can heal reverse Sinister, so effective heal block, I'll call it. A little bit longer to get that up Whereas when you're playing Warlock, it's a few parries and a couple combos, and then you're set to go pretty much for the rest of the fight. With Void, of course, it's a lot more RNG based. You have to wait for 2 Petrifies up to be heal blocked completely, guaranteed. But more to the point of why we're bringing Void in is we want the Petrifies up also so that we can safely use specials without giving him too much power. So you notice I did mistime a special 1 dodge. That hasn't happened in quite some time against Sinister. But we did get 1 Petrify up. The degen damage from it was, it could have been worse. It did take a nice chunk of my health off, though, so I have to be extra careful the rest of the fight. We've got both Petrifies up here. See, he still is regenning, and that's because of the recovery node. So the way that recovery works is you have to have more than 100% heal blocking in order to counteract the additional healing from the node. The math is a little weird, and I haven't fully grasped how it works. But another benefit of using Void is that he's going to be constantly degenning, whereas when he's not outright heal blocking. So full AB again, pretty happy about that. That was it for me. We did come out of this war with a victory. Our battle group did spectacular this war. We had under 10 deaths for the whole battle group, which is excellent. Everybody did such an awesome job. Low item use, no deaths, and the victory. Really can't ask for a better outcome than that. So we're kind of even up on the season 1-1. Hopefully we can move back up into tier 3, or at least stay at 500 or better for the rest of the season. We'll see what happens. So. Thanks for watching as usual. If you'd like to see more of this, be sure to click that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know how your season is going. And that's about it for me, so take care. We'll see you next time.